originally in English, July 2024. Hey! So, to start, can you specify what is referred to as Super Suzy? Is that any Suzy after Suzy 2? Suzy 2 included? Hi, Gosha. Okay, see, when the original Suzy, Suzy 1, was improved with the larger and more complete Mark II, this last one was briefly referred as Super Suzy. Do you remember it? That would have been years ago. Yet that name didn't stick and was removed in favor of simply calling them Suzy 2 Mark II or MK2, as the manufacturer and its engineers were already designing something better that would deserve that name. So, all the Suzy models, which were constantly being improved from Suzy 1, the original Swaruu Papriyananda one, to Suzy Mark IV, are all equipped with the same engines. The small, uncomfortable and cramped cockpit of Suzy 1 was replaced by a very spacious and comfortable one in Suzy 2 models, but retained the same controls and electronics. Then, a long time afterwards, like 3 years, that is just last year, a new generation was developed, which is a smaller, shorter Suzy, lighter and more agile at slow speeds, designed as a dedicated interceptor. This one again has a very small cockpit, but new state-of-the-art electronics, including holographic screens, but still retained the uncomfortable old-style controls. Those are mechanical pedals, collective throttle and joystick, old-fashioned and also found in Suzy models from the MK1, MK2 and in the new MK3 I am talking about. This is the newer Suzy Mark III. There is only one here inside Toleka. It is red in color, like a Ferrari sports car, and it is assigned to Dor Kalel. Although the hull was completely new and redone and looks different from the MK1 and MK2 models, and it also still had the old-style mechanical controls, it also still has the same engines as the previous two. Then the newer Suzy Mark IV was developed. This newer Suzy has the hull of an MK3, but its nose is a lot longer. It also incorporates a large twin-tail fin MK3s do not have, and it is a bit wider. This newer Suzy MK4 gets a more comfortable and spacious cockpit, much larger than the cockpit of an MK3, yet smaller than the cockpit in Suzy MK2 models, which are the ones with the largest cockpits of all Suzys. This Suzy MK4 also has new controls, incorporating newer, more comfortable pedals, shuttle and joystick for manual flight, and are no longer mechanical. Suzy 4s also have the same advanced electronics and systems found on Suzy MK3s. Yet, with all those improvements, Suzy 4s are still equipped with the same type of engines of the original Suzy MK1. The only Suzy MK4 on this ship was recently assigned to Marisva as her backup ship, even though she does not fly, leaving that Suzy MK4 to me to take care of and fly. Color bright shiny black with some green trim. Then came Suzy Mk5 models. These newer ships were again designed around a Suzy Mk3 hull, which is a short interceptor body, and are equipped with the same electronics and newer controls of the Suzy Mk4 models, and were built as an experimental platform to test newer and more powerful engines that develop almost twice as much power output than the original Suzy engines found in models Mk1 through Mk4. Suzy Mk5 models remained as an experimental platform, as prototypes for a super-fast maneuverable Suzy 3-like light interceptor. Only 2 Suzy Mk5 prototypes were built, and they remain in Temmer in their shipyard, and probably will never be built in numbers. They were both damaged when the roof of the construction shipyard collapsed over them in the recent Turquoise Sea hurricane in Temmer. Then comes the final model, Suzy Mk6, this time truly called Super Suzy. These ships have a hull which is nearly identical to the one used on Suzy Mk4 models. In fact, several hull pieces can be interchanged or shared between both types. Yet, Mk6 models are wider and heavier than Mk4 models. They also have big tall twin fins at the back to help stabilize it when flying atmosphere. And the cockpit is nearly identical to the one found on Suzy Mk4 models, yet has even newer electronics and advanced control systems. The cockpit transparent pieces and the nose section are identical and interchangeable between Mk4 and Mk6 models. The rear part of the hull has 2 large humps that the Mk4 does not have, because it must fit inside much larger engines, much in the same way as seen on a human-built F-15 fighter jet, for the same reason, large engines. Suzy Mk6 are the fastest and most powerful Suzys ever built. They look mean and heavy. They are also equipped with many top-secret devices, as is to be expected. Would you have an image that is similar? They all look similar to the images you have, but I started to make one in Photoshop as I did with Toleka. I hope not to take too long making it. What makes Super Suzys Mk6 Super Suzys is the fact that they have the newest electronics and construction materials, and also have engines that develop almost twice as much raw power as any other Suzy class. Amount of Super Suzy Mk6 on board Toleka 2. A flat blue, stellar blue, Mk6 assigned to Athena Swaruu, me, as my main ship, and a mean-looking flat black one assigned to Dorkale. Note: I am talking about how many ships are on Toleka, but what must be known is that the larger dreadnought starships, Alcyone and Asterope, both have no less than 2 entire squadrons of Mk3, Mk4 and Mk6 Suzy fighter ships on board, each one made of 12 Suzys, plus ships of other classes also on board, much like human-built aircraft carriers. Wow, thank you. Awesome description. I appreciate the effort in all those details. I have some questions from our public. Let me share some with you. First, which Suzy is your favorite? What's your main ship to fly? I keep my original Mk2 in perfect working order, the electric blue one. But I only fly the Mk6 in missions, as well as human aircraft when needed, and those include F-16C Block 50 and F-18E/F Super Hornets. I like the response and lightness of the Mk2, but the power response of the Mk6 is awesome, so I would say that I enjoy flying the Super Suzys more. Thank you. About Suzy programmed to look for a Swaruu in need. How exactly was that programmed? By who? And how does it pick up exactly that a Swaruu is in need? Also, is Dor-Kalel Suzy also programmed to look for a Dor-Kalel in need? It was programmed by Swaruu Papriyananda, or Swaruu 2, who is the same one as Swaruu 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, as you know. They are Suzy 1s. Dor-Kalel's one negative. We checked that. But how did it feel or know that another Swaruu was in need? The Swaruu needs a muon transmitter linked to Suzys, but it is known that some of them simply go to the next timeline at the same moment when the Swaruu is leaving her house in the forest. The ship arrives and invites her to come in. That part is pre-programmed into the ship to go to that moment in time of the life of a Swaruu 2 through Swaruu 9. This way, the Swaruu doesn't need any muon transmitter. Wow, I didn't know this. Okay, many people are asking about the emblem, Angel Suzy. Can you share how it was acquired more exactly? The Suzy emblem was chosen by Swaruu Papriyananda, Swaruu 2, when she was given her first Suzy Mk1, when it was brand new, when it almost went to Zadkiel of Temer. Swaruu Papriyananda was stationed here in Earth orbit at that time, and she needed a flight emblem, or nose art, for her new Suzy Mk1. And so she logically went into the human internet and she found that Suzy emblem you all know and adopted it since then. This means that the Suzy emblem is of human origin and manufacture, yes, and by an unknown artist. Since then, that Suzy emblem angel has been associated with all the Swaroos, and not only with the Suzy starships. Of all the remaining Suzy crafts here, only my original Mk2 and Mari's Mk2 have that emblem engraved on its sides, behind the cockpits. All other Suzy crafts have their own emblems, or do not have one of their own yet. The case, for example, has a ferocious cat as a flight emblem. Wow, okay. And your Suzy 6? It does not have anything painted on its side yet. She's still very new here. Okay, understandably. Next question is about Suzy's AI, or mind. Does it think on its own, and can disobey your instructions, or does it always follow what the pilot says, even if it's something potentially negative towards Taygetan? All Suzy craft, as well as any other one from Taygetan, is hardwired not to go against the society that built it. Yet, in practice, that was not seen so in the case of Suzy MK1s, as one of them was indeed used against Taygetan not so long ago, in a situation you all know about. That Suzy ended up being downed and destroyed in the only Suzy versus Suzy dogfight that has ever taken place, when the rogue pilot lost against my MK2, giving me my first kill mark in a dogfight. Although I must also say that there are actually two Suzys MK2 in that dogfight, Mari's and mine, but I was the one who went for the kill. Okay, so the Suzy AI just listens to the pilot primarily. It does, yes. It is instructed to follow pilot orders, including predicting thought-to-flight control interfaces. Thanks. Next. When flying on Earth, does it primarily use the gravity engines or plasma, or both in sync as needed? Both as needed. The next one is about the interior. Have you personalized it? I have not yet. It is stock. The only one personalized by me is my original MK2. What did you do to it? I improved the old controls, pedals, joystick, and collective throttle with new ones designed by Temerian engineers, using my specifications and needs. It also has private decoration inside, as it was my home for some time. That's basic. P.S. I hated the stock controls, and DK as well, as he also upgraded the ones on his MK3. Okay, someone asked how long it takes to reach Mach 1 speed. What is the Suzy maximum speed? That depends, because strictly speaking, there are two flight modes: on plasma jet and superluminar or jump mode, which is actually instantaneous, as you already know, only taking into consideration seat travel times, ship internal time perception. So in that case, the speed would be calculated to over 1,000 times light speed, but the ship is not speeding, as they are frequency jumping, not moving. They demanifest themselves from their place of origin and then remanifest themselves in their destination. But this is for all starships with this system, and not only for Suzys. And as for what we can call plasma jet flight, which is a jet as such, as in action-reaction, she can move over half the speed of light, and that is one hell lot of actual speed, as in 150,000 kilometers a second. Yet, this is theoretical, as no one has been stupid enough to push plasma jet engines that far, except for Swaruu Papriyananda, who actually did so in her MK1 Suzy, and with a lethal outcome, as she died when her ship's engines exploded. This happened back when Swaruu Papriyananda was in contact with a certain notoriously narcissistic person from Earth, and she convinced Swaruu to search for enlightenment physically with a starship, and basically killed Swaruu too with that idea. As a ship speeds towards the speed of light, and as any object with weight, it accumulates more and more mass, making it heavier and heavier to move, to the point where no engine, no matter how powerful it may be, will encounter infinite resistance. Therefore, no ship can go past a certain speed threshold. Thank you for this detailed answer. Yes, I remember the story about Swaruu dying when her ship exploded. I have this question from someone. Is the telepathic link with the AI strong enough so that if Tina was in trouble, somehow she could call out for her ship? I don't have that answer, as I have never tested it. But as for what I have seen, even inside the hangar, it is not strong enough, as I must be literally inside the ship for it to work. Okay, now this one. If we see Suzy flying or parked straight above us, how would it look? Any lights or shapes or something we would identify it to be Suzy or Super Suzy? Does Suzy have the ability to become invisible to human eyes by demand in the air, flying over our heads? Nearly all fighter-class starships can go invisible. Some, like the Suzys, all of them, can also project themselves to be seen a distance away from where they actually are. As in, you are seeing it's here, but it is actually over there. Lights. I didn't know they can do that, wow. They have cluster lights placed in a honeycomb design in the rear landing gear wells, and they come out when they open. In front, they also have headlamps embedded right where the wings blend into the hull. The shape is basically the same. Its dimensions and proportions are the ones that change. Another feature that is important to know. All Suzys, among other fighter craft, can also camouflage themselves to look like a human aircraft or a ship of any other race. This is widely used when on Earth and by countless star races. So if something looks like an aeroplane, it does not mean it is necessarily one. So they never let themselves be seen as what they are, Suzys? On pilots' demand, yes, but Galactic Federation protocols ask us to look like human aircraft, us and nearly all star races. Yet, some others do go about looking like alien spacecrafts, much to the annoyance of the ones who are imposed to look like a human plane. Okay, I wonder if I ever saw Suzy then. I have this interesting question. With the revelations about it only being the timeline of the observer, pilot, operator changing, are they continuing with the sand clock programs? What has changed? Nothing has changed with the sand clock squadrons back in the academy in Temer. They are still there, and their maneuvers are still taught to the students and cadets. What did change is what we here, us, this group, knows about the problems of time jumping, sand clock, and how it really does not solve anything, except for the one who travels. But not as a strategic procedure that alters and changes the timeline of a collective that did not travel in the sand clock ship. Yet, timelines can be collectively changed, even with no starship, as Yazhi Swaruu has proven more than once. But that is another subject. Thanks, Tina. I have this question next. When Swaruu of Erra rescued Suriko, why couldn't the Suzy lift the whole ship out of the water with the tractor beam? What's the limit to what a Suzy can lift? Simple. It exceeded the ship's load capacity, not only because the human ship was large, but because it was full of water. Logical, yes? Someone asks if it can go underwater? Yes, all Suzys can go underwater, but preferably with the shields full on, because the salt water can damage the ship's surface and finish. They can be difficult to clean. Wow, I didn't expect that answer. Thanks. Tina, it's been 2 hours since you came online. How do you feel? Do you have any more time? I have more questions from the people, but this obviously can go on forever too, as you wish. I do need to go, because I have a difficult flight scheduled for today. I will be part of the fighter ship escorts that will bring the brand new starship Sadiq into Earth orbit and stationed next to Teleka. I would like to take a nap before that. Of course, go rest. Thank you very much for coming. It's been more than great. Welcome. I enjoyed this very much. We can finish other questions in a few days. Oh yes, me too, as always. But don't worry, I know you're busy. Let's agree I wait for you a couple of days, but if you don't come to finish, don't worry. I will publish what I have, as it's been a lot too. Okay. Yes, it's been a mess here lately, as you know. Until then, see you Saturday. Bye. Take care and thank you. Tina out.